playing a new game. Hey there friends, how's it going? So this is David Potts with Song Notes, and I'm pumped to finally be bringing you a lesson for Brown Eyed Girl, the Van Morrison absolute classic. So great song, I'm going to jump right into it. This is a song you can play with just 4 chords. I'll talk about these chords, show you a few finger position tips that'll make the transitions easier if that's giving you trouble. I'll talk about 3 different ways you can strum it, whether you want something super beginner friendly, something a bit more intermediate, or something a bit more advanced with a bit more of a percussive flavor as well. And then finally I'll talk about the intro riff. I'll show you the sort of basic way to play it in open position, but then also show you the fun way that uses these sort of sixths, right? So fun to play. I can't wait to teach it to you. So whether you're a super beginner or you're a bit more advanced, there's a lot to chew on here. And let's jump on in. All the links and everything that I'm going to reference in this lesson as far as other lessons I've made to teach you that strum or this or that, it's all on my lesson page for this on songnotes.net. That's my website. You can find this video. I have a few backing tracks you can use, a link to the song sheet if you want something print friendly to follow along with the lyrics. It's all there, so check that out. But let's dive on into this. Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison, and I can't wait to teach you how to play this one. Let's go. So let's kick this one off by looking at the chord shapes we're going to need. So big picture, it's just going to be these 4 chords, right? Your G, your C, your D, and your E minor, which will make a brief appearance. Now, if you need help with any of these chords or any other chords, check out my beginner chord guide, because I'll show you how to play all these. I'll also show you some must-know like modifications, where you can add a note, remove a note to each of these chords to add a little bit of flourish and embellishment in any song you play, okay? So that's available over at my website, but I'm gonna show you the tip for this song that I recommend doing. For your G and your C and your D, I recommend using either one of these finger position pairings. Check this out. One way is to do your ring finger on the low E string for the G, right? And if you do this, it makes it nice and easy to switch to the C, because you just hop these 2 fingers, 1 string thinner, put your index finger down on the 2nd string, and you have your C, okay? So check out that efficient finger movement from the G to the C. And if you do this, what you'll want to do is, for the D, just use a D7 instead, right? Open 2nd, 1st, 2nd. Now check this out. My G, my C, my D7. Look at the efficiency of that, right? These 2 fingers are always going to be on the thickest 2 strings for the G and the C, and then our index finger is only going to come down on that 1st fret of the 2nd string for the G7 and for the C, okay? So that's one way to do the chords. The other way would be like this, with your middle finger on the thickest string for the G. And then for the C, what you can do, you could use a regular C if you want, but that's a big jump, right? You have to do some big finger movements. What you could do is just use a C add 9, right? Just hop these 2 fingers, 1 string thinner each, and you have your G, your C add 9. You would use this in place of a C. And then you go to a D, and when you do this, notice how your ring finger is going to be on the 2nd string 3rd fret for all 3 chords. So the name of the game here is efficiency. Whatever finger positions you choose, just be mindful of the other chords, and you can use these sort of voicings that just make it really easy. So one more time, you can either do ring finger on your G, thickest string, go to your C, right? Easy hop there. And then use a D7 in place of a D. Whenever you have a D, just use this D7, it'll work just fine. Or you could do this G voicing with 4 fingers here, middle finger on the thickest string, go to a C add 9, okay? And then for your D, just do a regular D. And in this voicing, your ring finger is going to stay on the same string for all chords, okay? I recommend just, with any song you play, look for these efficiencies. I have a whole separate lesson on the G major chord and different voicings of, or different finger positions you use, depending on what your other chords are. So that's available over on my website as well. Then you'll also need that E minor chord, right? Just open 2nd, 2nd, open, 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 okay? That one's pretty straightforward there. So now that we know the chords, let's look at the chord progressions, right? What are the order we're going to use the chords in this song? Now the intro, the verse, and the sha-la-la-la-la-la part are all going to use this one main progression, right? This G, 2, 3, 4 to C, 2, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Very straightforward, 1 measure for each chord. Okay, a measure is 4 counts, right? I can count it. I'll do that right here. Ready? And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3. So you can sing the verse like this, and the chorus, okay? And this is what you're gonna use during the intro as well, if you wanna, get down with that. So a couple things I'm gonna say here. This is the 1-4-1-5. That would be the chord progression if we were to use Roman numerals, right? In the key of G, this is the 1 chord, this is the 4, this is the 5 chord. If you're interested in learning more about this, I have a practical music theory course, and I also have a key of G cheat sheet. You can see this, how this is the 1, the 4, and the 1, and the 5. It's just a handy way of referring to things. That way, if you were to play the song in a different key, you could just use the 1-4-1-5 in whatever key you switch to, and then you could still sing Brown Eyed Girl, okay? So those are the chord progressions we'll need. Now, if we were to sort of look at the first couple lines of the verse here, we could sing, even if we did a single strum, right? G to hey, where did we see go? G, days when the D came, right? G, down in a C hollow. G, said playing a new game. D, 3, 4, one more time. Laughing and a running, skipping and a jumping. 3, 4, G, in the misty morning fall with our hearts a thumping in you. Okay, then we go to the chorus, right? The chorus is going to be a C, 2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4 E minor, 2, 3, 4 to C, then to D, then one measure of G, okay? That's all we're gonna need there. Then we go to this little refrain part. Do you remember when we used to sing? For this, we're just gonna stay on D for 3 measures, right? Do you remember when? Oh, we used to sing sha-la-la-la. Then you go back to this progression I already showed, right? G, 2, 3, 4 to C, 2, 3, 4 to G, then back to D, la-ti-da. Okay, so G is our home base. That's how you're gonna play the intro, the verse, the chorus, and the refrain. That's all you need for the entire song. Now, I recommend starting off doing just simple strums. What I just did there was a single strum on each 1 count. Okay, it makes it nice and straightforward. Now from there, let's talk about strumming. Show you some ways you can spice this up, okay? The simplest way, aside from doing just 1 strum per chord, is to do a strum on the 1 count and the 3 count, okay? That's gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, where did we go? Okay, you can tap your foot if it helps. Days when the rains came. 3, 4, G, down in a hollow. No up strums yet, nice and simple. Playing a new game. Okay? G to laughing and a running. Hey, hey. So once you get comfortable with this, we can level things up and go to the next level, okay? This one's gonna be a little bit trickier because we're gonna have some up strums, but it's going to be a down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, okay? On the counts, that would be a 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and I recommend keeping your strumming hand moving in that sort of down-up motion all the time. And then you just sort of engage the strings whenever you need to do a strum, right? So down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Notice how my strumming hand is sort of always moving, okay? It's just a very helpful tip to get into when you're working on your strumming. So we could do the progression like that. Let's do the first line again, right? 1, 2, ready, go. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came. Down in a hollow, playing a new game, laughing and a running, hey, hey. I'm gonna go into the chorus after this next line, okay? And you'll see how it sounds there. In the misty morning fall with our hearts a thumping and sea with you, my brown-eyed girl, E minor, then to C. You're my brown-eyed girl. D, do you remember when we used to sing sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la Okay, so that's what you're going to use for that strum. One tip I have is to just really practice that strum by itself, right? Without the chords, maybe if you need to. Do this until you can do it without thinking about it. And it might take more than one practice session, right? You might have to put in some reps to do it, right? But I recommend doing it a few times a day, a couple of days in a row. You can even put the song on and then just mute the strings and sort of strum over it, right? Strum along with the song, right? I have an example here I can show you. If I do my Face ID here, I'm gonna play the chord progression. G to C, 2, 3, 4 to G. Now watch this, I'm gonna strum along, but no chords. 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. This is a great way to work on your strumming, okay? And you can go through the entire song like that, whether you use my backing track that's available on my website, or you use Brown Eyed Girl, the Van Morrison version, right? You can mute the strings, just play along. His version is kind of fast, but this is a great way to get that strumming up to speed, okay? Now, the last thing I'll say is a more advanced strumming pattern I like to use is this down, up, chop, down, up, chop, down, up, chop, down, up, chop. It's gonna sound like this. It's a bit more advanced. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like a percussive slap strum on the 2 and the 4 counts, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Let's sing along, right? I'll talk about this in a second. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in a hollow, playing a new game. Okay, so what I'm doing there to do this technique, I have a whole separate video. It's percussive slap strumming, a separate video on my website with a PDF showing you sort of a document, you can print out and reference and everything. But I'll explain it quickly here as well. That percussive strum is all happening with my right hand, okay? There's nothing happening with the left hand to make it happen. All I'm doing is I'm basically coming down with a down strum motion, right? But I'm going to effectively take this sort of inner part of my hand, my like fleshy part right here, and I'm going to hit the strings just before I strum. And that way my strum, it's almost like strumming when my hand is already there, but with that slap it becomes more of a impactful hit, right? And the challenging part is to do a down up chop up, down up chop up, down up chop up, down up chop up, down up chop, down up chop up. Okay? Now this again is not a strumming pattern that you're necessarily going to learn overnight if you've never used it before, right? I had to spend a long time working on this, and even then it was many months before I could really do it with confidence, and even that was after probably a few years of playing. But my point is, if you approach it steadily with practice and intention, and you check out my other lesson, get the PDF for that, it's going to really help you put in the reps to get the practice with this. But if you give it time, it will sort of come together. And again, you can do the muted approach, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you could play the whole song like this. I'll just hey, where did we go? Right? So whether you practice it with my backing track or using the song recording, you don't need to play the chords. You can sort of use the muted strum approach and then work on those 2 and the 4 counts, getting that percussive strum right there. Okay, so that's how you're going to do strumming for this song. And then you have what you need for an easy strumming pattern, an intermediate one, and a sort of more advanced one. Okay, now let's talk about the intro riff. Now this is the fun part of this song, right? Couple ways to play this. So one way is to use the sort of basic notes in open position, just one note at a time. And you repeat that, okay? So what's happening there is for the G, I'm going on the 3rd string open, putting my middle finger down, 2nd fret, and then playing the 2nd string open. Okay, these are the first 3 notes of the G major scale. If you need help with your scales, I have a whole separate lesson on the major scales in open position for the 5 most common keys, G included, right? So 1, da, 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 da. And then for the C, I'm going to go from this note, 1st fret of the 2nd string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, open, thinnest string, right? And then you go back to the G. Then we have to go to the 4th fret with our pinky or ring. Da, dum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Okay? And you can do the entire song like, or the entire intro like that, right? Da, 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 da. Now you might think, hey, how am I going to play this when I'm strumming? Well, you can't necessarily do that easily, but what you can do is get my backing track, put it on. It's just going over G, C, G, and D, and it's a perfect thing to practice over. So check this out. Yep. Turn it up a little bit. Here we go. Okay, nice little thing you can practice there. It's a nice little just exercise using those 3 chords and those couple of notes for each chord. But now let me show you the way that is really fun that I like playing it, which is going to use these 2 notes played at the same time. So these are called sixths in that there are 6 notes away within the major scale. Okay, so this might seem tricky at first, but check this out. I'm going to show you a couple ways to pick this. First, I'm just going to use my fingers, but then I'll talk about some hybrid picking techniques you can use, which are a bit more complicated. If you just use your fingers, I'm just going to use my index and thumb here. So check this out, right? For the G, we're going to be on the 1st string and the 3rd string. So position your right hand on those strings, okay? 1st string and 3rd string. Then you're going to take your index finger, put it on the 3rd fret of the thinnest string, and your middle finger, put it on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, okay? So let's call this 4-3, because it's fret-wise, it's the 4th fret and the 3rd fret, okay? And you're gonna pluck them together. Get used to that motion. It might feel weird at first, but once you get comfortable with that, you can basically move your middle finger up to the 5th fret, okay? It's just moving 1 fret up. Okay, and then you're going to put your left ring finger, or your fretting hand's ring finger, on the 5th fret of the thinnest string. So we're going to call this 5-5. Okay, but you're going to pluck them together. So if you do the 1st chord, or the 1st little pluck here, and then the 2nd one, just practice going between those at first, right? And once you get comfortable with that, we can add the 3rd little chord here of the G measure, which is going to be 7 and 7. So notice how the G measure is just going 4-3, 5-5, 7-7. Then you go back down. Okay, so I recommend taking this slow at first. 4-3, 5-5, 7-7, 5-5, 4-3. If you just do those 3 chords over those 5 sort of plucks, right, you can do, right? Da da bum ba dum bum bum ba da 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 ba ba bum. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for the G measure. Now for the C measure, this might seem complicated, but we're going to use the exact same fretting sort of pattern. We're just going to we're going to move our starting point. Instead of doing 4-3, we're going to do 9-8. Okay, on the same frets, or same strings, that is, same strings. The frets change, but the strings are the same. So 9-8, 10-10, 12-12. Go back down. Okay, so. And then we're going to go back to that G. So basically notice how the 1st measure and the 3rd measure are the exact same. And the 2nd measure is the same pattern, we just have a different starting point. So the first 3 measures would be this, right?